In this video you will learn how to use the Python console. That is a tool which will make your programming easier. So what is the Python console? Where can you access it? If you are on PyCharm, it's very easy to access the console. You can just go to this tab, press it, and this will open the Python console. You know the console is working when you see these three arrows. If you don't have this Python console, because you're in another IDE, there's another way to open the Python console. Your IDE probably has a terminal tool. So you can open the terminal, and then here you can write one of these commands. Either Python, you can also try pi-3, press enter to see if it works, or Python 3.10 or Python 3.11. So one of these will work. In my case, Python works well, so I see these three arrows in here. But on PyCharm, I can just use the embedded Python console in here, which is the same thing as the one you get from the terminal. So what is the Python console? Well, in the console here, you can write Python code just like you do in a .py file. So for example, you can declare variables, you can do whatever you want. Prompt is equal to enter a to-do, press enter, and then you can continue coding and you get the output immediately. So enter a to-do is the string that we stored in user prompt, and we got that printed out. But if you close the console and then you open it again and then you try to print out user prompt, you'll get an error because you lost the code that you wrote previously. So the Python console is only used for throwaway code. So quick code you want to just test out to see how things work. For example, let's say we were programming here. We defined a variable and then we are not sure if we want to use an input function or something else. So we quickly go to the console and try the input function here to see if that's the right thing we want to use. So you can just press enter and you get this prompt. Hey, it asks you to enter some input. So now we know that this is probably the function we're looking for. Or maybe you just want to check the type of this text enter to do. You press enter and you get the type. So you know that it is a string. So you don't have to write that code in your program file. So as you can see, the Python console has pros and cons. The pro is that you can quickly get output, and the con is that the code is lost once you close the Python console tab. Now, it's important to understand how exactly the console is working. So what happens when you run a normal .py file is that Python executes this line and then it executes that line, that one, and so on. So it executes all the lines in a split of a second. Now with the console, the things are different. You execute lines one by one. So you write that line first, press enter, Python executes that. You can also see here on the left that a variable has been registered in the session here. So the execution now is halting, is an on-demand interpreter. Basically, the interpreter is waiting for lines from the programmer to be executed. So in this session now, you have access to that variable and maybe other variables that you define and execute in here. So other is also a variable. You can also see the type here, str. So hello is a string, enter a to-do is also a string. My list would be a list. You can see here list, and it has this 0, which means there are 0 items. If you want to call a previously executed item, you go here, put the cursor in here, and then press the upper arrow key on your keyboard. And that will call the previously executed expression. If you press the upper key again, it calls the expression before that, and so on. You go back again with down arrow key, up, down, until you find what you want. So my list could have more items such as hello, hi. So 2 strings. You see these are split with a comma. Press, and now my list has been updated. You see these are 2 items now. So that's about the Python console. It's a great way to help you with programming, and also excellent for learning. So you can experiment very quickly using the Python console. And of course, when you want to write a program, you want to store the code in a Python file, because the file is stored on disk, so you don't lose the changes. With that, I thank you, and I'll talk to you later.